Well, we're back here, and Mama, good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Roland.
What is overwhelming?
My life has changed so much. It's sometimes it's boring.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's overwhelming. Like you really don't know what to think. It's scary sometimes. Like it's just a mixture of many things.
You know, just about 30 or so minutes ago, my friend in the UK, Kojo Minu, says he wanted to watch how we were observing the social distancing.
We're trying, man.
Yeah.
We're trying. I mean, I don't think we're doing exactly the best under the circumstance, but we're taking the necessary precautions. Thank you for caring. Is it me he cares about, or is you?
I think for both of us.
Okay. Yeah. We're here. Charlie, it's just...
I think it's stressful at some point.
Yeah.
It's a bit, makes you very depressed in a way.
Yeah.
Very sorry.
You can't hack people. You can't... You know, sometimes when you're down, just hugging someone gives you a lot of comfort. Like it brings some kind of joy.
I agree.
You can't hug. You can only do phone.
Yeah.
Like you don't see people around. Like
even people you can't even interact the way you used to. That kind of thing.
Foodstuffs are expensive. Charlie, somewhere I really pray that this phase would just...
Foodstuffs are expensive. I haven't noticed that.
Yeah. Because you don't do market. I do market. I mean, you buy garden eggs. Yesterday I bought 4 garden eggs, like 1, 2, 3, 4 for 2 cedis.
Usually, what would have been the case?
Oh, like
that 2 cedi, that 4 would have.
That 2 cedi like 1 cedi.
Okay, that 4 would have gone for 1 cedi.
Yeah.
And sanitizer prices.
Everything as that. As for sanitizer, you won't even get. Would you even find it on the market? Is it still on the market? I think it's the locally locally produced
new ones that they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. But in the next week or so, we'll find a lot of locally produced sanitizer on the market.
Great.
Yeah. Great. You can find some available now in the 5-liter
containers.
Exactly. Okay. So it's like industrial use.
What do you mean by 5 liter? The normal gallons.
The normal gallons.
Okay,
yes.
that's
so
around,
you have to refill.
That's around 4.3.
So that's what people are doing now. They're just refilling with the smaller containers because you hardly find
you buy the gallon.
Exactly. But I know some of the manufacturing companies who are going into sanitizer production.
Fantastic.
So we should see. I know Casapreco is going to do that. NS Chemist is also going to do that. So
it reminds me of the World War. In World War I and World War II, many clothing lines and even many companies, Harrison Davids and all that, all of them decided to produce for the war. For the war.
Because this is what is useful. I mean, this is for mankind. All right, let's see what the papers are reporting. We will do online as well. But for now, it's the newspaper review. I have the Daily Graphic, the Daily Statesman, and the Finder. So straight up, we'll start with the Daily Graphic. So front page of the paper today. These aren't normal times. Seek God's face for restoration. President tells Christians over COVID-19. I'm sure you are aware there was a prayer breakfast meeting at the Jubilee House yesterday. We brought you that live here on JoyNews. So the picture on the front page of the paper, well, various men of God that we're very familiar with as Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Apostle Professor Puku Onyina, Archbishop Doug Haywood Mills, Most Reverend John Bonaventure Kofi, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, also Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Abuamante, moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, and well, there were many others. If you were with the prayer meeting yesterday live on television, you would have seen many others praying, obviously because of this pandemic, this global pandemic. NDC issues the Electoral Commission for nominated to Supreme Court. Kwewu Easter cancellation will result in huge losses. That's according to the Ghana Tourism Authority. We had them on Wednesday here on our show. In the center spread, institutions step up measures to contain spread of COVID-19. I had an appointment yesterday, Roland Walker. I had a 2 p.m. appointment yesterday. I got to the place maybe like an hour before the time. So I thought, oh, I'll test if you have time now, even though I've come ahead of the meeting time. Apparently, there was a management meeting in this particular organization, no visitors.
Wow.
So I couldn't see the person. He said,
visitors.
we could talk on the phone.
Is that an international one?
Yes. So multinational.
Multinational.
So I can't physically see you.
Just 24 hours ago, we're debating this. Yeah.
The
multinationals seem to obey the protocols, and we just don't obey the right protocol.
Well, no, I mean, it's not like we don't obey. That's like an internal arrangement. There hasn't been.
Organizations operate internally before they go externally. I'm talking about how they treat their.
Yeah, but to say absolutely no visitors, that's like an internal management decision. It's not one that every organization.
If you look at many of the multinational organizations, they seem to be on a certain trajectory.
Yes.
Unlike the locals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because their standards usually are not like our local standards. They usually have. I mean, if you have your headquarters in Europe or in America or a place like that, you are taking directives from them, not necessarily what is happening here. So you can understand.
So would you say those directives are good compared to what we have locally?
Well, you have to figure that yourself. Also rely on health service website, but I was so disappointed. I mean, it was so disappointing.
On a personal level because of the visits.
It was so disappointing. Like I was a bit broken. I was a little broken, but hey, listen, it's COVID-19. Nobody saw it coming, so
wasting all the time there.
Exactly. Yeah. Rely on health service website for information on COVID-19, journalist urged. Well, listen, we're following that, except that, remember not the 11th. No, was it the 11th case? Which one did the president break? Was it okay, let me try and get my thoughts together. The 9th case was announced by the president during the breakfast meeting, and we kept checking the website. It wasn't.
Breakfast prayer meeting.
Breakfast prayer meeting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't on the website, you know. So who breaks it first? Is it the website or authorities?
Okay.
You get what I mean. So yeah, we're duly relying on it, but where it breaks somewhere else, we will have to report it. Back page of the Daily Graphic, Transport Ministry spells out measures for bus operators against COVID-19. Also 4 military personnel, others held for robbery. We'll tell you about that story after we go through the headlines. So let's do the Finder newspaper. Front page of the Finder, God heal our land. That's how the headline goes. President calls on clergy to pray against coronavirus. NIA implements social distancing at registration centers. They've been at the center of,
they've been criticized.
Criticism, exactly, because they're going on with the registration exercise. So the picture that's on the Finder newspaper is telling you how they've spaced themselves whilst waiting to be registered. I'm not sure about the rest of the protocols when they're registering, but I think the calls for it to be suspended, that's overwhelming. Many calls for it to be suspended.
I think that as far as we all want to have a very congenial but also a very healthy atmosphere, we need to make sure we follow through the guidelines.
Yeah.
And it is for this reason why we have the government spearheading this. The president has taken a certain lead, and as a result of that, many organizations have followed, whether they are in the private or public sectors, formal or informal sectors. It's surprising how the National Identification Authority decides to do this, knowing that apart from these pictures that you show, which could also be managed before you take the pictures, there are many areas in our country where education has not gone down well. Not that they don't have formal education, but in terms of information flow to them on coronavirus has not gone deeply enough. And so if you try to organize this within those communities, you definitely are not going to have those who are supposed to be the beneficiaries, the patrons coming there to register, observing what the rules or the guidelines are. And that is where the fear is. And even in Accra, you move around, you see markets, people going around lorry stations, and then you get to have fears that if somebody has it, the next person definitely will have it. And by the time the next person is declared to have had it, he may have spread it enough. So we have to make sure we observe all the cautions.
Yesterday, the passport office issued a statement and said that they're not, as in they've also closed, they're not issuing new passports. If you have been going through the process, essentially it's been halted, so you have to wait. And I thought, okay, so we're not issuing new passports. Why are we registering for Ghana cards? So just for that reason, that same reason, because it's the same, essentially, almost the same, passport, Ghana card. Well, so I guess the conversation would continue. Let's still do the two other headlines on the front page of the Finder. Ghana Ports Harbours Authority suspends cruise ships but did not ban cargo ships. For prices, 63% taxes and margins makes big drop difficult. The last paper for me, the Daily Statesman, front page. We're not in ordinary times. President urges Ghanaians to turn to God and observe COVID-19 safety measures. Ex-WHO boss appointed to coordinate Ghana's coronavirus response program. Also, Kufuor wants to rig 2020 elections with coronavirus disease. NDC raises alarm. All right, Roland Walker.
All right, let's go to the Ghanaian Observer. Has on the front page, COVID-19 pandemic, Kufuor assembles clergy. The story is on page 9 and 10 of the paper. We also have on the same paper, the Ghanaian Observer, Kufuor appoints former WHO director as COVID-19 coordinator. COVID-19, a wake-up call to revamp industries, according to group. Meanwhile, down there we have Professor Mensah Bonsu, Kolendi, two others nominated to Supreme Court, and NIA fires back. And the story about the Supreme Court related nominations also well placed in the story, and talks about the nomination of Justice Clemens Onyenuga, Justice Isifu Tanko Amidu, both justices of the appeal court, and Emmanuel Yoni Kolendi, a private legal practitioner, and Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, Professor of Law at the University of Ghana School of Law. Yeah, very astute personalities in the legal field.
Yeah, I saw a lot of excitement, people showing a lot of support on Facebook in particular because of Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu. So you know, her name did not, most of us only heard her name yesterday when the speaker mentioned those who had been nominated, because for the rest we had, I don't know if you had Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, in the because media. Her name did not come out when the earlier names came out. So when a lot of I saw a lot of feminists, a lot of females,
and then there was Clemens Onyenuga, but not Professor Mensah Bonsu.
Exactly. So I saw a lot of women, you know, in support, excited about the fact that she's going to be on the Supreme Court.
I think it's not only women, for those who have gone through her hands at the law school, and those who have practiced over the period, they tend to appreciate a lot of her work. So that speaks volumes about her impact in the sector or her chosen field. Now let's go to the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide also has on the front page, COVID-19 hits 11 as Nana picks coronavirus chief. Mensah Bonsu for Supreme Court. 4 soldiers, 5 civilians arrested for robbery. Quarantine traveling MPs, majority leader. On the back page, I warned Pogba about Man U. Asked about the prospect of Pogba rejoining Juve this summer. Mauricio told Total Sports, I would be very happy. I told him he was wrong to go to Manchester, and that if he really wanted to change, he should choose Spain. Okay. 27-year-old. According to this story, I'm sure the writer is a Man U fan. He says the 27-year-old has failed to push through moves to Barcelona and Real Madrid over the previous 2 summers. Okay. Let's go to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Has on the front page, NDC sues the Electoral Commission over new register. The full rate is published in the paper. You just have to get a glimpse of the rate. Ghana's COVID-19 cases increase. In the matter of NDC going to court over new voters register, what Daily Dispatch wrote on January 13, 2020, I think I remember you said they needed to go to court if they had any related concerns. I think the NDC is in court. Is it over the new voters register, but rather over the items,
as in what do you need for the identity? Yes, but
documents needed. Even though if you read the rates, it also talks about, but it's more.
The release they are seeking is one of them.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we also have on the front page, see page 2 for COVID-19, suspend parliamentary sittings. I agree. I don't know why we're banding everybody together in one room, making laws for us while we know their health is at risk as well. Kennedy, Japan. Okay, Member of Parliament. How to recognize early symptoms of COVID-19 day by day. Right now, Charlie, everything is about COVID-19, Mavavi. Every little thing.
Yeah, I mean, the world is at a standstill because of COVID-19. So if you don't pay attention to it, you will just be consumed. You know, I have family in Italy. My big sister, yes, my big sister is in Italy with her husband. Yes. No, they're just indoors.
Oh, that's good.
Like throughout.
Which city is she?
Can't see.
Right.
Can't see.
Right.
Are you done?
No, I have to go through unless you
don't
want me to.
No, please do.
Okay. The Bank of Ghana announces monetary stimulus to contain COVID-19's economic impact. That's on the front page of the Gold Street Business. We all do know what the developed countries are doing, the United States, the UK, etc., to make sure that they beef up. Japan is also doing some great actions by the day. It says, in a major effort to contain the economic impact of coronavirus, the Bank of Ghana has laid out a number of measures to keep credit flowing and to enhance the use of digital payment platform to substitute cash payment. The key initiative is the reduction of the policy rate by some 150 basis points to 14.5%, down from the previous 16% at which it had been kept. Meanwhile, on the other side, inflation seems to be declining to 11.5%. That was what was recorded in February. We're now in the last month of the first quarter, so we'll see how it goes by the report next month. But banks are pulling back from new lending. Yeah. COVID-19 threatening Ghana's pineapple exports to the EU markets. Yeah, well, let's pray for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some organizations are also trying to figure out how clients can have access to them without necessarily physically walking to the offices. So there are people who are trying to find, creative means because customers can reach customers are asking a lot of questions. You know, there are people who don't want to just go out. Yeah, so it's forcing people to also be innovative. Before we do myjoyonline.com, there's a story on the back page of the Daily Graphic I thought we'll share a bit. It says 9 suspected armed robbers made up of 4 military personnel and 5 civilians who went on a robbery spree at 4 quarry sites in and around Gomoa Ojobi in the central region have been arrested. The 9 people robbed 4 sites around Gomoa Ojobi and Ewutu Breku, but ran out of luck when they were given a hot chase by a combined team of policemen from the Millennium City Police and the Kaswa Divisional Police. Very worrying. 9 suspected armed robbers, but they are made up of military personnel and civilians. The suspects, their names are given, including those in the military as well, and says they took away. So the items they took away has been listed, but following the arrest of the 9 suspects, the police retrieved a black Pajero registration number given, a white Toyota Land Cruiser, also registration number given, a black Toyota Land Cruiser, again V8. And then the Daily Graphic gathered that the 9 suspects who were on board the retrieved vehicles stormed the Executive Quarry Limited at Gomoa Jobi and robbed them of 10,000 Ghana cedis, and some other items also listed on the back page of the graphic newspaper. Roland, any story of interest before we move on?
Yes, there's this related story about how the Ghana's pineapple exports to the European market would be affected. But I want to extend this to the broader conversation about how even the limited exports that we tend to do could greatly be affected. If you take a look at how consumer spending has reduced drastically in many of the countries in Europe, especially in the UK, and even in the United States, where we have some number of exports, especially in the horticultural sector, and art and craft could be greatly affected. Now, I want us to find innovative means as various organizations or parastatals of government that tend to supervise some of these trading opportunities or commerce. So if we're talking tourism, then we have to take a look at it. If we're talking about the Ghana Export Promotion Council or authority, then they need to extend a hand to these exporters as quickly as possible. Make sure that their business contact in Europe are also gotten in touch with. What really are their problems, and how can we get product to these markets?
In these times?
No, I'm talking about how safe it could be. It is possible. Because if you look at the shelves in the UK and in the United States,
empty shelves.
They are empty. It will mean that people will need, even though they've hoarded, people will need products. People will need some of these items. How do we get them?
So how do you still export around these times?
Well,
no. I'm saying that it's a relevant conversation to have because people are still harvesting, and you can't keep your
and this is where we need the oversight institutions to make sure they get in touch with the farmers or those who are growing these.
Let's get into it. I'm sure maybe something is happening on the ground. Because there are still, shops haven't closed in Ghana. People are still operating. People are stocking.
Yeah, true. True.
So there must be some way, but I think it's a very relevant conversation to have. We can ask many questions in that regard. All right, let's do myjoyonline.com. Let's find out what's on our page. Parliament okays report to pass imposition of restrictions bill under certificate of urgency. Ghana's coronavirus counts enters double digits with 11 cases confirmed. NMC cautions media against making jokes about coronavirus disease. WHO debunks 14 common myths about coronavirus disease. 20 Nigerians to be repatriated amid coronavirus outbreak. And Nigeria, they've actually confirmed 4 additional cases of the disease, bringing the total to 12 in Nigeria now. Okay, so details of Parliament okaying the imposition of restrictions bill. Akpeteshi shortage hits Takrady as sanitizer prices increase. Italy is now world's deadliest hotspot in the coronavirus pandemic. But the thing about Akpeteshi, it really doesn't do anything. So you can go chasing Akpeteshi. Yeah, it won't do anything to you.
So what the Food and Drugs Authority and those who are the biochemists and know a lot about these, they say the Akpeteshi that will be effective is the one you get at the distilling ground. Not the ones that are put on the trucks and then brought to the city. It doesn't work that way.
Below
because by the time they come, they're diluted.
Alcohol,
so it dilutes the
volumes
of the percentage. Of alcohol.
So if you're doing one thought, and you're using to wash your hands, you're doing nothing.
Yeah, because the reality is that what you need, the percentage of alcohol that you need to get all this going to be effective, you can drink.
Yes, you can because that's what the raw alcohol, the proper alcohol. Sometimes it's like 96%.
Yeah.
I mean, you would die if you tried it.
Well,
so,
if you tried it in smaller quantities, yeah.
No.
But the rate at which
No.
we drink, it won't say
it won't get into your throats. I mean,
It will bend you
exactly. You won't
Well,
survive it.
Yeah.
So that's that. But that's what
You will
a lot
survive
of
it,
the
but
manufacturing companies
be
use.
harmful.
Even those who don't produce sanitizer. That's why it's easy for some companies to turn it around and begin to produce sanitizer. You get it? So that's why, you know, like a food manufacturing company, for instance, can, because most of them use the raw alcohol as raw material for their produce anyway, for what they manufacture.
So they already have
So they
them.
just have to divert.
But those are important.
And get, you know, like a chemist, somebody who properly knows how to do the combination so that you can get the right sanitizer required for this, what we've been faced with. But there are people who are also traditionally coming up with their own ways. You know, you can actually do it.
Yes, it's done.
So I have a friend who actually did. Oh, shall I show? Okay, let's see. Roland, start talking. Let's see if I can get some of the pictures that she sent me, some of the videos that she sent me, and hopefully we'll be able to share.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I'm hoping that the FDA will just go beyond the normal communication they are doing and go to the communities to tell the people that using just the normal local gin, so to speak, would not work. And it's important that we tend to do that. As far as this is related, we also do know that it's also about the consistency you tend to use it. If you make an entry into any hallway or any building, before you make entry, you use the sanitizer, and also after you're settling down or before you settle down, if you shook somebody or you touched somebody, etc., or you touched surfaces, doorknobs, you know, keys, you then have to make sure you sanitize. One thing that we don't also do is that we don't sanitize our phones.
It's also one of the things that we've been asked to do.
We need to sanitize a lot.
Yesterday, another friend shared another friend. So those who have the raw alcohol, the alcohol we're talking about, not the akpeteshi, not the gin. Those who have access to that raw material, what they're doing, because you know some of the wipes that you can actually use for your phone, some of the wipes don't have alcohol. They're not alcohol based. They're just for antibacterial. You know, it says on it, it kills 99.9% of germs, but it doesn't have any alcohol in there. So what they do, what this one friend has done, which I think is effective, is to pour the alcohol in the wipes and just seal it. Do you get what I mean? Do you feel me? I think it's effective.
If you're able to dip it in, I think that's how effective. But if you pour it on, I don't know how you can evenly.
But I guess after a while it will settle and it will just spread, and it would begin to soak. I thought it was great. People are using very creative ways. We have to survive this. I mean,
the education has to go on.
Shall we do the BBC, or maybe not enough time? But in the course of this programming, I'll share with you how a personal friend is using some of the raw materials. We talk aloe vera, but she's actually discovered the plants itself, and so she's extracting it from the plant to make the sanitizer. You know, like a very homey way of doing it.
Okay, so she's just using it domestically.
Just for the home.
Oh, I thought for
just for the home. No, you can't. You know, you can't do that without approval.
So I wanted to ask whether she had an aloe vera farm, but since it's just for
you can get the
yourself
plants
and somebody else, I think that's okay.
Sefam Lord Mensa, you I'm talking about. Good morning to you.
Sefam Lord Mensa.
All right, so we have to take a breather. Bring your sports.